How's it going, everyone? We're here to check out the top skins that were submitted this week, and we are finally back and still dealing with tooth pain, but it's enough to, I can deal with it enough to get the video out. So, we're going to jump right into my personal top 10, but before we do that, if you're new, how does all this work? There's like 100 skins, how come they're not in the shop? Well, every week, 100 plus skins are submitted, and only 8 to 10 get accepted into the game, and then the cycle continues the next week. Another 100 are submitted, another 8 to 10 are picked, and that's just the way it goes. So some of these skins may never find their way into the store. The only chance they usually have is if they're part of a set, they may get accepted later in a complete the sets kind of thing. So anyways, let's go to my personal top 10. So first up, we have the Black Paladin hoodie and pants by Kit, and this is just a really great set. They've done such a good job sculpting this. You've got all the beautiful chainmail in between, all the various latches and gold adornment. You have like the little knee pads, then you have all the soft quilted padding, and it looks like it's all separate materials. It doesn't look like just one thing pasted on over another, and you know, that's the difference of what makes it a top skin. Next up, we have a continuation in the tire set with the coffee can helmet and road sign vest and kilt. And these are just very rust. They were selling really good for the poncho pieces, you know, the hide armor that's made in so far. And I could really see this doing very well if it came in as a road sign set. It's dark, it's junky, and I feel like a lot of people would just appreciate it for the fact of how much it fits in. Next up, it would have been the Ultramarine backpack, but that's actually in the shop right now, so if you want to go ahead and pick it up, you can go ahead and do that. So moving on to deployables, we have the nuclear reactor furnace by Anubis Dank, and as you can see, this thing has a really good job done with the sculpting. The pipes don't look too flat, the heating coils look like they're sticking up. It actually looks like there's stuff underneath the grill or the grate under here rather than being, you know, the same layer as it, so to say. And it's just one of those things with a lot of details that looks nice, and it also has a very cool glow to go along with its name. Then speaking of very cool, we have this cryo fridge by Fuff, and this thing is just insane. It looks very high tech, so it might be a little too much for Hulk, but man, this thing is just really, really cool. It has all sorts of transparency going on for it, and it just is absolutely neat. I could see a lot of people really loving this, and hey, I mean, we just had some refrigerator changes, right? Moving on, we have a wooden door for you here, and it's a nice little pie shop door for you. It comes in 3 versions. There's one with a glow and text, glow and no text, and I think there was another version 1 or something. So there you go. And it's definitely a fun little thing. I love the little, you know, chalk stand. You got the open sign, and it just fits that homey little feeling that a lot of people love with their role player bases, which goes hand in hand with cooking. Then over here we have another one, the ramen sheet metal double door. The ramen set has been sought after and sold well, so this is just a no-brainer. It's beautifully sculpted, the leaves look like they're popping up, the cloth layer looks like it's in front of the chainmail. Everything is just done really, really well, and of course, the glow is what really gives it something home. I love that blue kind of outer glow that just kind of gives it a more kind of chill vibe to it. And then as we come over here, you can check out the door. Love the 2 different glows, the kind of purple versus the green there. Then you can see the cryo fridge really, really lights up. And if we come over to the furnace here, you'll see now that the bottom actually is leaking out some kind of nuclear material. And then there's various little portholes where you can see a green glow come on off of it. It definitely has an eerie radiation look to it. Next up for our guns, we would have had the crossbow Deep Ruby as is in our list, but it is already in the shop, so hey, if you like that, you can go ahead and pick it up now. And then next, we've got ourselves the factory new Thompson. Everyone ate up the AK, and this just went beautifully onto the Thompson. Look how shiny it is. It just translated so nice. This will look good on a lot of guns, so I can see this being a potentially really good set. Aiming down the sights here, you do have chrome on chrome. Then last but not least for our top 10, we have ourselves the Oceanborn LR300, and this thing just looks really, really cool. It has a nice shine to it, but it has a lot of little details redone all over it. You've got extra nuts and bolts and sculpting done to the different patterns, especially on the mag. Then if we aim down the sights, you have a nice red tip versus the shiny blue for the back rings. could definitely see this one doing quite well if it made its way in. But that's going to do it for the top 10. Let's go ahead and take a look at everything else that's been submitted for this week. Starting out with our clothing, we have a nice little tuxedo burlap set for you by HSM. And I love that the print on it are little face punch faces. You can't see it from too far. Once you get close enough, you can tell that is exactly what they are. It's definitely a fun little detail that adds to this set. Next, we have a bandana and poncho combo for you for the honey and bees. And as you can see, it's this big old chunk of honeycomb and splattered little pieces. And, you know, it kind of just looks like there's various chunks of honeycomb all around and on you. And I just really love the details to it. It looks pretty well sculpted. Next, we have ourselves the Luchador version 2 by Raph. And as you can see, we've got a combo of a balaclava and the hide pants and shirt, or shorts and tank top, whatever you may want to call them. And I think it definitely makes a nice, silly little combo. Our only hoodie and pants for this week is going to be the Aquatic Agent hoodie and pants. And as you can see, it has this kind of like neoprene layer going on. Then you've got this kind of scaled, almost super suit. You've got the various different little decorations across it here and there. Definitely makes it kind of unique, and it does have kind of like an Atlantean feel to it, I would say. Next, we have the Fusion Coffee Can set. This comes in two versions, an orange and a blue, and as you can see here, we have the kind of orangey earth tones. I can't talk. Orangey earth tones. There we go. And it has kind of like a nice little ruffle to it. It almost looks like, I would say, maybe cooling lava in a way, but it also could be maybe an ancient creature's, you know, skin and scales or something. Definitely has a unique look to it with the shine. Moving on to high qual, you can get your cookie on with this cookie high qual set, and I've seen quite a few done. I think this one has one of the most realistic looking cookies. A lot of it kind of just looked like it was made to look like a cookie, but the material didn't really look like it was made of dough and so forth, and I think this really captures it quite well. Next, we have the Battle Wounds set for you, and as you can see, it looks like they're maybe hit with a cannonball there at some point. At least the last person that wore the chest piece, I doubt it was the current owner kind of thing. Big old slash across the face. Looks like this used to be some fancy, scary-looking metal armor, but it has seen some wear and tear to the point where the original red material underneath is coming out. Next, we have the Dwarf Armor set for you, and this definitely has a very good dwarf look to it. Love the kind of beard. It looks very much so like a lot of dwarven statues you'll see in lore and so forth around with anything that has to do with dwarves. So I would say very appropriate, has kind of a stony look, and very iron and metal. Next up, we've got the Bush Wraith set for you, and this has a very nice tactical look to it. Face mask itself doesn't look very practical for protecting you, I would say, but hey, it has some nice breathability, has a very kind of commando look, and hey, it is green, so anything green that could be a cheaper green camo, people would be happy for. For backpacks this week, we have the Latex Backpack by Say Chains, and as you can see, the whole thing is, well, just black latex. Black latex here, more black latex, and there it is. And in case you don't know what it is, it does say backpack on it for you. Our other backpack for this week is kind of fuzzy. It is the B large backpack, and as you can see, you've got these kind of fuzzy straps. They come around to a silly little bee. You've got wings on the side, the same kind of fuzzy tummy going along, and a very silly, happy looking face. Moving on to deployables, we have a ton, so we're going to try to tear through them. Starting off, we've got this cute little sleeping bag, the Penguin Sleeping Bag version 2. Then moving on to small boxes, we have an egg incubator for you. Definitely a fun idea. I love how it has like breathing on the side for the chickens. And then you've got the little egg racks in the front with the temperature gauge. Moving on, we have another small box for you. It has a little paleo theme with the fossil wood storage box by Ladder. Moving on to our large boxes, we've got a very kind of rusty, crusty box with the Patriot large box. Then we have a continuation in the Fallen set with the Fallen. Large box comes in the glow and a non-glow. Continuation in the Kawaii storage set with the drop box. Then we have ourselves the shipping container divers box. Then we have some furnaces. Starting off, we've got the First Contact furnace. It's a neat little UFO design we've seen before, but improved. Then over here we have another cool little design with the clan base version 3, which has been updated nicely to fit with the other pieces in the set. Then we have ourselves a corn burner. Love how it's popcorn at the top. Then we have the Manike Neko furnace. And last but not least, another little beehive furnace for you here. We also have a fridge for you this week, which is full of honey, and, well, simply the honey fridge. Moving on to our rugs, we have some shackled up people with the Sins of Raiders rug. Then we have the prototype texture rug, and this is one of those ones that's kind of meant to, like, you know, cover the floor or walls as a wallpaper, so to say. Then we have the spring leaves and the radiology rug, which, well, you got some bullets and some really bad news there, I'd have to say, if these are your x-rays. Moving along to our doors, we have ourselves the horned wooden door, which is this crazy squished ram-faced cartoon drawing going on thing. Comes in a glow and a non-glow. Then we have the honey neon door. The bee door. Moving along on to here, we have ourselves the metal heritage door. Hungry sunflower door. Devourer door. Hive guard door. Handmade metal door by Oasis, and this was very much so almost in the top 10. It was very, very much there, because just look at that. The sculpting job on this, that just is boom. Amazing. Then over here we have ourselves the Memories version 2. Chromatic Aberration. And then we've got this really cool grinder door with the Mincer sheet metal door. Onto our double doors we have the Neon Emoji sheet metal door. The red version of the sealed door, which also comes in a white, kind of bone white, off-white color. Then we have ourselves a pie crust door. This comes in a glow, no glow, and transparency, no transparency. As you can see, the transparency is the windows. I love the look of this, but it also almost looks like tanned skin, which is kind of creepy. Then over here we have the Silver Maze door. It comes in two different versions. You can see the alt in the description. I always have a link to the workshop. And last for our double doors, we have this beautiful kind of stained glass look with the underwater double door. Moving along to our garage doors, we have the solar panel by GBG. The We're Not Friendly, which also comes with an alternate version We're Friendly door. Solar Stones 2. Blackstone 2. Safe garage door. Dance of 1,000 Mirrors, and man, I feel like I can hear this door. If you've ever listened to a bunch of chimes that are made of mirrors, you'd know what I mean. Then over here we have ourselves some artwork with the Arctic Anomaly garage door. The Cursed Seal garage door, which also comes in a red version. The Doomgate garage door. The Construct garage door, which comes in a glow and a non-glow, and the Retro Vinyl garage door, which is just really cool design. Last but not least, we do have a single armor door for you, and it is the Toxic Sunset door. Definitely reminiscent of the old Toxic set. Wish we could get some new pieces for that, or hey, maybe a new start with this one. But if we go ahead and kill our lights, we can take a look at our glow, because so many things do glow. Just a tiny bit of glow on that door with some lights. We have our two wooden doors. X-ray rug. to our furnaces. Then we've got that UFO. Love how there's an underwater section too with the subs and the sharks. Even have labs right there. We move on to our boxes. And then we do have a glow on the incubator small box, but just on the front, and that does it for our glow this week. Alright, on to tools and weapons. We have ourselves the Dark Skull hammer up first in a row of a couple hammers this week. Then we have the Spectrum hammer, which of course, as you can see, it would glow. I mean, if it didn't, it wouldn't make any sense, right? As the rest of the set does. Then we have ourselves a Lollipop hammer, which honestly, it kind of looks, oh man, I mean, they did actually a really good job. It looks like one of those tough candy lollipops, almost like a tough toffee, you know what I mean? Then we have ourselves the Devoured Hive hammer, which also has a cool glow going on with it. Moving on, we have another silly rock for you with the McRae monkey. It comes in a gray or a tan version, or blonde version, as you can see right here. Then next up, we move on to our weapons here with a bow for you. The medieval bow, definitely very much so themed to look like the medieval set. We do already have the Gold Lord, which is pretty similar to that, but that's only clothing. So how do you guys feel about this version here? Next up, we have the Hyper Crossbow, nice continuation in the set. It's almost kind of crazy to see such a high-tech looking kind of crossbow, but it also fits because this set is real. Well, that's just kind of the thing of the set. You know, it looks armored and techy, and I think it does well. There's also the alt versions that aren't so colorful, but since a colorful version's already been accepted, that's probably how the set will continue. Moving on, we've got the B printed crossbow, and the whole thing looks like it's 3D printed, but you know, B printed, yep, that it's clever. I like the idea. It's silly. And there's the reload. Moving on, we've got a Python for you this week, and it is the Starry Dream set. We've been a little bit since we've seen some submissions for this set, so it's nice to see another one pop up, and hey, maybe the set will continue. Aiming down the sights, you have a nice white tip. It almost looks like it glows, but it does not. Moving on, we have a Thompson for you this week as well, and is part of the Pomp Stars set. And, well, we have seen one piece make it in, so hey, maybe, depending on the sales, this could continue. It did do pretty well. Aiming down the sights, we do have a magenta tip against the other blues and purples, and you've got this crazy little chibi screaming at you to make your shot, or maybe cheering that you already did. Then, next up, we have ourselves the new standard MP5, and with the, you know, very kind of new out-of-the-press kind of design, it's not too surprising to see similar ones pop out. I think this looks pretty good on the MP5, but I have to say the red text and symbols kind of drive me nuts. Aiming down the sights here, the red tip, though, is definitely a good part of the design. Moving on to our next MP5, we have these Heaven Sent version 2, and as you can see, it's just updated a lot more. Definitely looks like it's kind of old and painted, much more than it does kind of crusty and rusty. Still has a bit of a fancy tone to it. Aiming down the sights, you do have a nice red tip as well, which, of course, is always a bonus. Our next MP5 is the Fingerprint, and it has this fingerprint design, but in a very bright kind of cobalt, almost metallic-y blue. Against that black, it actually looks quite neat, and at some points almost kind of looks like a tiger stripe. And I think the idea of using a fingerprint kind of pattern is very cool. Aiming down the sights here, you do have a red tip, but not too much else going on there. Some cut sides could definitely make this a top MP5. Aiming down this next one here, we've got the Asylum MP5. We did get the LR in, and it's doing quite well, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see this MP5 pop in. Just like the LR, it has a lot of cut to it. As you can see, it has a custom cut stock, as well as a cut sight with a nice red tip. So this could be an easy seller for this week. Moving on to our ARs, we've got the Arts and Craft AK version 2. Nice, complete with ruler, made out of wood, silly little googly eyes, and a nice red tip. Then we have a little more kind of rusty looking one with the Oxidized Wraith AK-47, and this actually does have a glow on it. So as you see, the face is a neon kind of little design. You got the fishbone and then the kill him here on the back. Now, sometimes that's a little bit of a thing. You know, people don't want to glow with weapons, but I think it actually looks quite cool. On this one here, we have ourselves the Razor Blade AK-47. The whole thing has a very kind of like studded look to it. Aiming down the sights, you do have a little skull and a red tip to the front. Next, we have ourselves the High Luxury AK, if it would pull itself out. And you can see this one does have a little bit of transparency in the cuts, but otherwise it's pretty much standard AK. Has a nice clean look to it, the nice kind of red painted polished wood, and then the kind of cushy grips look quite nice. Aim down the sights, you do have a nice red tip, and I feel like I just said nice way too many times. Moving on, our next AK is the Kraken. It has two different versions. It's this kind of blue, and then we have a more kind of like green and purpley, but I feel like the blue with the ocean and everything, it just really popped so much more. But it's just a very cool design. Aiming down the sights, it has a custom sight as well. I do wish maybe they made the tip like a bright green or something like that, so it was a little bit different from the ring, but all nonetheless very cool. Next, we've got the Pulsation version 3, which has a nice kind of like metallic, almost melted look to it going on. Depending where the light hits it, it either shimmers or becomes dark. Aiming down the sights, you do have a red tip, but it's kind of hard to see. It's kind of almost a very dark red. Our next AR is the Sandstorm AR. Comes in a stock and stockless version. As you can see, the whole thing just looks like it's been sand blasted and then covered in paint and then covered in sand. Aiming down the sights, there is a nice red tip. And there's a reload. Moving on, we have the Papercraft AR. Lots of different designs at this, and I think this one's very cool. It looks like a lot of it's painted in with kind of a Sharpie, but you still have the grid paper and the blue lines, a little drawn on off and so forth, and little details here and there are fun, like the face. There's a nice little white streak to give the tip a little bit of a differentiation there, which is appreciated. Next, we have ourselves another AR for you. This one is the Black Jaguar, and as you can see, it's just got a very faint kind of Jaguar spots going on, probably on theme with the jungle update coming on, except, well, they're tigers and panthers, so maybe they're spotted panthers, one way or another. Aiming down the sights here, it does have cut sights and a nice red tip. Last but not least, we have the Spectra AK-47, brought to us by Milo, who made the tempered and chroma sets, or chrome I should say sets, so I mean it wouldn't be too crazy to see this pop in, but I feel like maybe it has too many purples and stuff to be similar. I feel like this is way more silver, and then the yellow really kind of pops depending on the light, so maybe that's enough. How do you guys feel about it? Is it too close to its brother, the tempered set, or not? Aiming down the sights here, you do have a variable colored tips with purples and blues. And there's that reload. Last but not least, we have an L96 as well, and it's the Desert Ops L96, and it has a very kind of scuffed look to it, very worn, but it almost looks like it's made out of like an old polymer or something like that, and very worn metal, very kind of old military-esque. Aiming down the sights here, you got, you know, pretty much standard, but it is L96, so that doesn't matter. There's probably going to be a scope on it. Last but not least, we do have ourselves a golden F1 grenade for you, and man, this thing is literally just solid gold. A little bling grenade brings somebody some pain with some solid gold. But that's going to do it, everybody. Sound off down in the comment section below which ones you're hoping will make it in this week the most and why. As always, I appreciate your feedback. I'll get it to whoever it needs to if it isn't for me. And stay rusty. Thanks for watching.